So in the ASCENT model, the last step is about treasuring your partnership. And I think a lot of couples don't necessarily prioritize that time. What were some of the most important practices? What did that look like for you both? And importantly, as I'm asking this question, what did it look like in the beginning phases of recovery in terms of what the practices look like and the challenges perhaps in treasuring your partnership to where you both are now today?
Well, early on, I mean, alcohol got in the way, clearly, of treasuring my partnership with Chantal. I mean, I love the woman. And, I fell in love with her, while I was still working with her. And, it's the most powerful thing I've ever experienced because I just hadn't had that feeling in my life. So early on, the desire, the love was still there, but this thing just kept gnawing away at me and our relationship, and I was trying to fight what was going on. So even though we initiated relationship talks early on, they quite often just ended up in blowups because we were not navigating them very well. It was too early to talk about, in assessing your readiness. We were trying to get to things that at the time we didn't know it was too early to go there, which would, open up some wounds, and we didn't know how to deal with that. And that's, obviously that's when therapy was playing a very important role to help understand some of the emotions that were going on. But never once did we doubt that we were with the right person in our life.
I think, Megan, part of it is in early recovery, we were structuring our time so that we would do a relationship talk. We would have what we talked about before, jungle time. Another part of what we love actually is naked reading. We do that a lot. We go to our bedroom, we light candles, and we lie naked and we read. We're just playing footsies. That's all. But it's something we've always enjoyed. Just yesterday, So, but we were more. It's odd when I think about it because we were more acrimonious, but we were making sure we had that. And sometimes maybe it was a bit mechanical, but we were doing it. And over time, those practices, those activities became something we enjoyed, and we didn't have to plan it anymore. It was like, oh yes, like yesterday. Oh, after you get back, let's just do some naked reading. And it happens naturally because we enjoy it so much.
My line is sometimes, let's do some naked reading and forget the reading.
Well, I know what you guys are saying from the perspective of, because I think it's helpful to normalize that when we're trying new things, we don't necessarily have that muscle memory. And to your point, like once something becomes habitual, it becomes reflexive and automatic. And, I speak a lot to the role of like, when we're trying something new, we don't start as expert, right? So there's a lot of discomfort, and to normalize, like that's meant to be here, right? And, and anxiety when we try on new experiences. And it's not to avoid that, but it's to sort of lean in and realize we're in this together, and knowing that
we have the insight of a lot of years. Well, I think what was important is it helped us understand where each of us were really fragile or sensitive. Through the relationship talks, I really started understanding, not just intellectually, but emotionally, how real and palpable guilt was for Bill. And for some reasons that I don't fully understand, I felt a lot of guilt when I was very young, and I really, at one point, would manage through that. And now guilt is not a very motivating factor for me, but I know it is for Bill. And my awareness of that means that part of treasuring my partnership is when I get a sense that he's been triggered in his guilt, I have developed ways of reminding him how he's, he's a great partner, he's a great lover, he's, he's in great shape, or whatever it is in the moment that feels right as a way of complimenting him and honoring him. I know that that is a really good way to balance his guilt. And Bill knows that my trigger is insecurity. And when he sees that I'm insecure, I see him remind me of who I am and that I have all these great qualities. So I think part of treasuring your partnership is all of those activities, but it's also gaining awareness of the other and being willing to be the cheerleader and the supporter. It's sort of the, the honoring and the I'm here, and I'm you're safe here with me. But part of the work we had to do also is that there are some ways that we are very different from one another, and learning how to use those differences to our benefit as a couple. And the ways that we're different are sometimes very irritating to each other. And so being able to recognize that I think very quickly, I connect the dots and I'm moving on. That's just who I am, and sometimes that's irritating for Bill because he hasn't even started thinking about something and I'm 5 steps ahead. And that was a skill that was in my negotiations in my career. It's a well-honed skills of playing a couple of moves ahead. So I've had to learn to sometimes tone it down, but also I've had the conversation with Bill many times. This is the strength. We have to use it. Bill has a wonderful strength of being able to be present in the moment and being able to shelve things for later, not in the sense of abandoning them, but this isn't the time and place to deal with them. I'm horrendous at that. And so being able to look to Bill and say, okay, I have to shelve this right now. Like, help me with this. This is your strong suit. And I think that's something that comes with treasuring our differences and our uniqueness. Whereas early in recovery, those things can be so irritating and you don't know how to hold the tension of the irritation. And part of treasuring the partnership for me is remembering that I love these differences, 90% of the time. 10% of the time, I absolutely hate those differences. And that's okay. I was just curious, like, are we still in our honeymoon phase?
Nope, you're in what we call, it's not a sexy word, but mature love. So it's the romantic phase and it's the dopamine, it's the limerence, we sort of say neurobiologically, sort of the love cocktail. It's a drug, right? Literally in the beginning of a relationship. And that it lasts between 1 to 2 years predominantly. And then the nature of relationship is like that rupture, repair, the conflict, but that when people are doing the work, which is what you guys have done, then you come out the other side, right? And that is sort of what we call sort of mature love. And, ideally that's the goal. I think.
Just totally out of curiosity, way off topic or kind of on topic. What was your wedding song? What was the dance song?
By Eva Cassidy.
Say it one more time.
Fields of Gold. It's a Sting song, but it was sung by Eva Cassidy.